I've got some thoughts, and you might have some thoughts too. But how about the fellow who's in charge right now? Could Mike Kafka be the answer? Think about it for just a moment. I mean, he was a coach who was sought after, and we'll get into that. But maybe the guy who is going to be the next head coach of the New York Giants next season is the current head coach of the New York Giants, Mike Kafka. He's got a very impressive resume. As a matter of fact, if he wasn't with the Giants right now and the Giants are going into the offseason looking for a new head coach, he'd be on the list. He'd be on the list. I mean, let's take a look here at Kafka. First of all, he's a protege of Andy Reid and comes highly recommended. Andy Reid, pretty good coach, wouldn't you say? Coached the Philadelphia Eagles, current coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, current coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, who are a dynasty. Well, why not Mike Kafka? I mean, look at his resume. Let's take a look right now. And he played high school baseball and football, and then he goes to Northwestern. And at Northwestern, he had his injury woes, but ends up being the quarterback at Northwestern and has an outstanding senior year and sets all kinds of records in the Outback Bowl. So he obviously knows what it's like to play football at the highest level, collegiately, played for Northwestern. Then he gets drafted by the Eagles. And who's the coach of the Eagles? Andy Reid. Plays under Andy Reid with the Eagles, and he played in the NFL for several teams. There you see, played for the Patriots, played for Jacksonville, played for Tampa Bay, played for Minnesota. By the way, that's where he crossed paths briefly with Brian Dable when he was with the Patriots. But then he goes to Kansas City and is a coach on Andy Reid's staff. I mean, that's quite the staff, right? Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator. He coaches Mahomes and gets a lot of credit for Mahomes' success in the early portion of his career. It's Kafka who gets a lot of the credit. And so now he's going to be working with Jackson Dart. But again, if you were going to hire a head coach and now the season is over, you're going into the situation of you're going to hire a head coach, he'd be on the list. You'd bring him in for an interview. Why wouldn't he be on the list? This is such a golden opportunity for Kafka, and I hope he gets it. I mean, let's take a look. Reid told The Athletic in an interview about Kafka, he's smart, he's meticulous. He was interviewed for head coaching positions with the Panthers, the Colts, and the Texans, and then last year he was sought after by the Seattle Supersonics to be offensive coordinator. Seattle Seahawks, Supersonics. Where did that come from? I have Lenny Wilkins on my mind. That's where it came from. May he rest in peace. But the Seattle Seahawks wanted to interview him to be offensive coordinator. The Giants said, no, that's a lateral move. We want to keep Kafka. Even though he's had his falling out with Dable. I mean, they were constantly going back and forth. Dable would call plays, and then he would give it back to Kafka, and then Dable would take it back. He would call the plays. They would be going back and forth. But, hey, he managed to maintain his relationship with Dable through thick and thin, and he was coaching Dart one-on-one. And that's why he's a logical choice to be the coach for the rest of the season. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But then in the offseason, he was interviewed by the Bears, interviewed by the Saints twice. My point is the head coach of the New York Giants might be right under their nose in Kafka. Now, he's got to do something. I think he's got to go, maybe 3-4, 7 games left. They start with the Packers this weekend, and then they will play the Lions in Detroit. And then they play the Patriots in New England, but then 3 of their last 4 games are at home. They finish up with the Commanders, the Vikings, the Raiders, and the Cowboys. They play the Raiders in Las Vegas. But if he goes 3-4, or even better, he deserves. And if the team responds to his coaching, he deserves a chance. But like I said, I'm reading in The Athletic. Well, Mike Tomlin is the man for the Giants? I know Tomlin has a very successful record as a coach in the regular season, but what has he done in the offs? What has he done in the playoffs? I know he won one Super Bowl. What has he done in the playoffs? Ask the Steelers fans about Tomlin. They'd be more than happy to have Tomlin go to the Giants. Now, according to O'Connor, Tomlin still has 2 years left on his contract after this season, and the Giants would have to ask the Rooneys for permission. The Maras and Rooneys have been close for decades, almost since the start of the National Football League, so he's speculating that wouldn't be a problem. In fact, he says Tomlin is the man for the Giants. I don't think so. I don't know who the coach of the Giants is going to be, and no one knows. And there are going to be so many stories, so many clickbait stories out there that you don't know who the next coach of the Giants is going to be. You really don't. I mean, it could be, like I said, could be a lot of people on that list, and I'm sure they're already compiling a list. But here's a key: the fact that the Giants also didn't wipe Joe Shane out in this removal of Dable. And maybe Shane and Kafka are on the same page. I mean, Shane has made his mistakes, but he's also done some good things. And the thing about the Giants here is they want some continuity. The Giants want something along the lines where they're not constantly changing everybody. And even in the case of Gettleman, they didn't wipe Gettleman out when they made that first coaching change. So maybe Shane stays, and maybe he and Kafka are on the same page. All I am saying is this: before we start making Mike Tomlin the next head coach of the New York Giants, or Lane Kiffin, or pick your candidate, John Gruden, Mike McCarthy. Before we start talking about these guys as the next coach of the New York Giants, let's give Kafka a chance. He's young. He relates to the players. Andy Reid loved him. Andy Reid had nothing but praise for him. He played for Andy Reid. Then he was on to Andy Reid's staff as coach of with the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid gives him a high grade. Give Kafka a chance. That's all. Let's give Kafka a chance is all I am saying. All I am saying is, before we start going out there, we're going to hire this coach, we're going to hire that coach, we're going to interview this coach. Give the guy a chance. He would be on the list, as I said, he would be on the list of candidates to be interviewed going into the offseason. So he's got a golden opportunity here. Golden. I mean, it's not as if the Giants are taking somebody from, Belichick. Bill Belichick is going to be 74 years old. Now, don't get nasty here. And when we ask, well, how could he relate to that generation? No, I think we know how he might be able to relate to that generation, but I digress. My point is, Kafka might be the man. All these people coming forth, this candidate, that candidate, maybe the candidate as the next head coach of the New York Giants is the head coach of the New York Giants. I wish him well because he's got a resume that deserves the opportunity, and he's going to get it with the Giants. A 2-8 football team with 7 games left, this team could actually be fun with Kafka at the helm. That's going to do it for Dan on Sports. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.